Hi, I'm Rose Nem. Today we're visiting with Annette Makino. Annette became known in the art community for her expressive watercolor haigas, a visual practice that would later evolve into collage. Join us as we learn more about her journey as an artist.
I feel like every day in the studio, you're learning about yourself. You're kind of inventing yourself as you go along, as you're creating the piece. It's usually a surprise what comes out. You don't quite know where it's going. You might have a vision, but ultimately the colors, the compositions, the textures, the shapes, in terms of collage, what you end up including, it's a bit of a surprise to the artist as well as anybody else.
Annette, thank you so much for allowing us into your home and inviting us in to learn more about your journey.
Thanks for having me on the show.
What was your life like before doing watercolors?
Well, I grew up in a creative household. We were always encouraged to make art. It was just sort of part of what we did, is draw and quilt and do batik and clay and paint and everything you can think of. And then, however, I ended up going off to college and doing a major in international relations. Spent a long career in communications and international development, traveling around the world and helping support independent media and trying to communicate what we were doing and why it was important. And I also worked doing research on accidental or unintentional nuclear war. This is in the 80s during the Cold War. And so it was very far away from the art world.
Yes.
And then I sort of came to the end of that phase of life and realized I didn't actually want or need to go out and get another job. And so with that freedom, I just started thinking about what else I wanted to do and sort of floating. And I was doing consulting at the time, so that was sort of tiding me over. I had my first show in 2011, and there were actually two parts to it. One was a whole collection of haiga about dogs, sort of humorous senryu with very simple sumi ink paintings of dogs in various funny situations. Senryu are kind of Japanese poem, very similar to haiku, but they're a little bit more humorous. They focus on human nature instead of nature. And then the whole other part of the show was everything else in life and a little bit more on the philosophical side. And a ton of people came to this show. This was in Old Town Eureka at the former Old Town Jewelers. And so I did feel like, I think I'm an artist now.
Okay. Wow, Annette, this all sounds interesting. Could we take a look at your studio and see where the work comes from?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. This is nice. I love the spiral staircase here. So what do we have here?
So I'm working on this collage. This is a female belted kingfisher, and I need to add some branches. I believe this is, yes, a little of Virginia Woolf here. Okay. I have some junk mail, I have some choir music, I have a canceled check to Makino Studios, a little airmail envelope, and I want to add some branches down here. And so this is the paper that I painted, and I'm just gonna tear it. Let's try to get this going. There we go.
Do you have a haiku for this piece?
Yes, I'm not totally sure if I've finished it, but let me think of how it goes. The song of the creek, tumbling over stones, a flash of kingfisher.
Very nice.
May or may not stay that way, but that's what I've got right now.
Oh, that's something that I haven't really thought about when it came to your collage, that you mostly just use your hands for all of the pieces of paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very tactile. I've always actually loved paper. Is that gonna work? A little further, I think. And I mainly like to do images from nature. I don't do that many interior pieces, and so it seems just very appropriate that the materials themselves are organic.
It also seems to work because in nature there's no fine lines.
Yeah, there's no straight lines in nature, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there can be, but it's not very common.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? See, this is classic. I thought I was. This kind of came out upside down from how I meant it. So I was going to curve it this way, but this is actually normally the back of the piece. So now I have to decide, should I go with the side I wanted or the angle I wanted?
Ah, the
This is
conundrum.
an example of like how the piece, you know, can have its own little story of its own. I've decided I'm going to make it go the side I want and at a different angle from what I planned, but with one coming up. So luckily, I'm the boss.
The benefit of working for yourself.
Yes. And the fun part, well, this is sort of fun too, but it can also be a little bit like crazy making as you're dealing with all these fluttering pieces of paper and figuring out what to do. And the fun part is when you like get to glue it all down and have it completed. Okay, let's see how this branch turned out. It's a little bit chunky in places. I think I need to trim this down. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with that. So I have my archival glue here. I'm actually going to mark with a pencil where I want my piece to end up, because once it's dripping with glue, you can't really maneuver very much. So I'm going to go there, and this one's going to go there.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, upside down. So, yeah, I've been very fortunate to have a really nice studio. Come on, little guy. Okay. So that's pretty good. And then this one. I've got a little window of time to change things. Okay, that's going to be better. All right. Okay, so this I think is good.
Thank you, Annette. This looks amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time to show us your process.
Yes, thank you so much. It's always fun to share it.
So what made you decide to evolve from watercolors to collage and paper work?
The watercolor has been really fun and interesting for a long time, and I've evolved and developed through the 10 years that I did that. I've kind of developed my own style of combining some traditional watercolor techniques with Japanese sumi ink techniques, and I've been inspired by the tradition of Japanese woodblock prints, where you have, just because of technically the way that the color was printed, you have thin outlines of black encasing blocks of color. And so that was really fun to develop that style and to convey a lot of the beauty of our natural surroundings in Humboldt County. I do a lot of landscapes, but about 1.5 years ago, I started to get excited about doing the Japanese-inspired collage. With the pandemic, my business really slowed down, so silver lining, more time, and a chance to really explore that more deeply.
Where do you find your inspiration?
Inspiration is everywhere, honestly. In Humboldt County, we're so lucky to have all these incredible natural landscapes and such a diversity of landscapes in a small area. So I've painted various of our beaches many times in fog and sun, up close, distant, with seagulls, without, just that alone. And then the forests and the rivers and the pasture land in the bottoms, the marsh. I mean, there's just like so many beautiful places. Right. There's this mystique that artists are born, and people say, oh, you're so talented, I can't draw a straight line. And I just always want to say, this is a skill like anything else. I mean, some people might have more aptitude towards it. Like some people inherently are going to be better at being a mechanic. I would be terrible as a mechanic. But I trust that I could learn to be decent if I put in the time. And I think that anyone could do that, and they can start at any age. My mother is an artist, and she took up sculpture at age 80.
Wow.
And she's still going.
That's amazing.
She turned 93 a few days ago.
Awesome.
And she's still making clay sculpture and really getting a lot of satisfaction out of that.
Great. Yeah, I remember reading on your blog, on makinostudios.com, you and your mother, and was it your sister that also had an art opening or art show together?
Yes, yeah. I have two sisters, and they're both artistic. One is an artist and teaches art to middle and high schoolers, and the other is a filmmaker and teaches filmmaking at the University of Arizona. But yeah, so my mother and one of my sisters and I had an art show together in Ukiah a few years back. I think it was called Paper, Clay, Straw, because of all of our different mediums.
Oh, great.
And that was really fun, have a mother-daughter show.
Well, Annette, thank you so much for allowing us here in your space.
Thank you, it was really fun.
And thank you for joining us on Studio Space.